Okay, so the next thing we want to talk about is actually how the album is designed. So now the first thing to understand is you are going to pick the pictures, but we kind of guide you a little bit on that. Now, the way we go through this and the way we're going to show here, this is unique to Fineline. This is a system that we came up with. So let's go back a long time ago. Like other photographers, after a wedding, we used to allow our brides and grooms to say, hey, go and pick out 100 of your favorite photos from the wedding. So go through your wedding photos, narrow it down to your favorite 100, and we'll design an album around those photos. What we quickly learn, and what all those brides and grooms quickly learn, is that it's a very daunting process. If you're sitting there with 1,000 photos, trying to narrow that down to 100 of your favorite photos, it's going to take a very, very long time. I'll give you a specific example, and this is when we knew things had to change. So we did a wedding. About a little over a year later, I ran into that couple at another wedding. So at dinner time, I walked over to say hello, and I was saying, hey, how's the, we're still waiting for your picture choices to make your album. How's that coming along? And they're like, oh, it's coming along great. We're almost ready to submit our pictures. We've got it down to 400. And this is over a year after the wedding, so they are still trying to dwindling down. And what we realized was going on, it was a psychological thing. Basically, what was happening is you're starting with a lot of photos and you're trying to narrow it down to about 100 photos. So what we wanted to do was flip the whole idea on its head. So instead of having you narrow photos down to a certain number, we start with 0. We start with 0 photos and have you build up your album on top of that. So let me get into how that makes sense. So again, you're going to choose the photos. So what we do after the wedding is we send you a form that you're going to fill out, and it kind of walks you through telling the story of your day. So again, what do we mean by starting with 0? Well, what we want to do is just for our design is kind of tell the story of your day and work through the album one page at a time. So what we do is we say on the form, page 1, we want you to go through your favorite photos of just the bride and groom and pick out your favorite horizontal bride and groom photo. So now you're just going to a certain part of the day, looking at the photos of the two of you and picking out your favorite photo to be the lead-off photo for page 1. So now we have one photo. Now, page 2 and 3, we do this as an opportunity to take advantage of a full page spread. So a spread meaning left and right pages. So we say of the photos from your wedding day, is there a photo that you'd love to see as a full page spread spanning across page 2 and 3? So you pick out a photo for that. Now we're moving along. Pages, this would be 4 and 5, for example. We call this the bride getting ready spread. So on your form, basically what we say is go to the getting ready portion of the day and pick out a minimum of this many, a maximum of this many, so we give you a range. Pick out photos from the getting ready portion of the day. Pick out some of your favorite details and moments. So now all you have to do is zero in, go to that specific part of the day and pick out a handful of your favorite photos from that part of the day. Okay, so now we're on pages 4 and 5 here, for example. Now, here's an example where we say to go to a specific part of the day. So we want the bride and groom to look at, this is what we call the getting ready part of the day. So the album form will say, go to the getting ready portion of the day and pick out a handful of photos, your most favorite moments and details from that part of the day, and that's how we'll make this spread. It doesn't give you a specific number, it gives you a minimum and a maximum, so you don't even have to target in an exact number as long as you're within that range, okay? So it makes it a lot easier to just go to a part of the day, pick out your favorite photos, and move along. Now we like to have a spread what we call the bride's portrait and the groom's portrait. So this is our portrait spread. Once again, nice and simple. The bride can take a look at the portraits of herself, pick out her favorite, the groom portraits of himself and pick out his favorite. Again, now we're cruising right along. So we also have what we call the bridal party spread. Very simple. Again, go to the time of the day when we did all the bridal party photos and pick out your best or your favorite bridal party photos. Once again, we'll give you a range of minimum and a maximum. Now we call this just kind of the extra spread. This is additional moments from before the ceremony began. So as you're going through the wedding day, you can go to that time period of before the ceremony began, pick out some additional moments. Maybe it's the guys getting ready or the groom getting boutonniered up or the bride getting ready to come down the aisle with her dad. We have a spread here that just sets up where the ceremony took place. So all you really have to do here is pick a couple early photos from the ceremony. You'll write the name of the church, the town, and the state on the form because we do like to indicate as a reminder as this album gets passed down through your generations in the future generations, have a little bit of information about exactly where the ceremony was taking place. Very simple here. We have what we call the ceremony highlights moments. So you'll go through and you'll just pick out the highlights from the ceremony. Now after that we have the family spread, so the bride's family spread, the groom's family spread, once again giving you a range, a minimum and a maximum. I always like to point out that we do usually put a lot more photos for the family here. It's just that this groom was actually from England and only had 3 members of his family over here with him, so there wasn't a lot of family photos for that particular wedding. Then we do a spread that's just the bride and groom photos. So now maybe it's after the ceremony, that part of the day where you went off to a park or wherever it might have been. But just that time of the day when you were just doing bride and groom photos, we'll do a spread of just that. So you'll go through and pick out your favorite bride and groom photos together. Just like we introduced the ceremony, we're going to introduce the reception. So some of the details, maybe the introductions, just the early moments, but we want to establish where the reception took place. We even like to have a spread just for the first dance. So you'll go through your first dance together, pick out your favorite moments. Again, let us know the song. Just like before, as this album gets passed down to future generations, they'll know what your first dance song was. Then we like to have 2 spreads, reception moments 1 and reception moments 2. So these are all the fun moments, the sentimental moments, the events from your reception. And of course, at the very end, you can choose the last photo of the reception and whatever little saying that you'd like to include in the album as well. So this is how we do the design. Again, you're choosing the photos, but we're kind of walking you through a little bit of a template. It just makes the process go so much faster. We don't want this to drag out for a year trying to narrow down to 100 photos. We want you to be able to sit down in a matter of a few days. Some couples spend a few weekends on it, but basically going through, okay, on this page, let's go look at our bridal photos, bridal party photos together. Which ones are our favorite? Let's look at the ceremony. Which photos are our favorite from the ceremony? It just makes the process go a lot quicker and also ensures that all the important moments of the day get into the final design.